Gen Z lacks basic skills. They're entitled. Too easily offended. Gen Z workers quit after just 3 months. They lack work ethic. And the ultimate verdict, whispered in boardrooms and blasted across headlines, they're unemployable. This is the narrative bombarding us from every screen. It paints a picture of a generation at odds with the very idea of work. On one side, you have hiring managers, frustrated and confused, staring at a talent gap they can't seem to fill. On the other hand, you have millions of young, ambitious people, armed with more information than any previous generation, feeling systematically misunderstood and rejected before they even walk through the door. The friction is palpable. But is this story true? Is this a fundamental character flaw of an entire generation, or is it a systemic mismatch? A profound misunderstanding between two different worlds operating on two different rule books? If you've ever felt mislabeled, or that your values were dismissed in a professional setting, you're in the right place. Stick with us as we decode this clash, because the answer isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about understanding the massive expectation gap that defines the modern workplace and how to bridge it. One, the stigma, dissecting the unemployable label. To understand the unemployable stigma, we have to start with a single jarring statistic. A 2025 study surveyed over 2,000 hiring managers to identify the values they want most in new employees. The winners were clear: achievement, learning, and an unbridled desire to work. But when they surveyed Gen Z, they found that only 2% shared these as their top priorities. This isn't a small gap, it's a chasm. And what falls into that chasm is misinterpreted. What employers label a lack of work ethic is, for Gen Z, a conscious and deliberate rejection of hustle culture. This isn't a theoretical stance. It's a learned behavior born from observation. This is the first generation to witness the full life cycle of burnout culture, watching their parents and older colleagues sacrifice their health and personal lives for companies that, in the face of economic downturns, laid them off without a second thought. They saw that the old promise, unwavering loyalty in exchange for lifelong security, was broken. So their decision not to uphold their end of a broken contract isn't laziness. It's a rational act of psychological and economic self-preservation. This rejection manifests in behaviors that older generations find baffling. Take the phenomenon of quiet quitting. It's not about being lazy or disengaged in the way employers fear. It's a logical reaction to a system where extra effort often goes unrewarded and unpaid, and where the risk of burnout is astronomically high. It's about setting boundaries to protect one's mental health in a world where an alarming 91% of Gen Z have faced at least one symptom of burnout, and they report the lowest workplace health scores of any generation. Similarly, the high turnover rates, with some studies showing 40% plan to leave their jobs within 2 years and a staggering 65% leaving within the first 12 months, are not signs of disloyalty. They are symptoms of a systemic search for a workplace that aligns with their core values: flexibility, purpose, and a culture that actively supports their well-being. They are not job hopping, they are culture shopping, and they are willing to move quickly if a workplace proves to be toxic or misaligned with the values it promised during recruitment. This is the fundamental mismatch at the heart of the problem. Employers are using an old map to navigate a new world. They are screening for a psychological profile that Gen Z has consciously evolved beyond. The issue isn't that Gen Z is unwilling to work hard. It's that they are unwilling to sacrifice their identity, their health, and their lives outside of work for a model of success they no longer believe in. They are the first generation to collectively dare to say no to a system that lacks meaning, and that no is being profoundly misinterpreted as an inability to work at all. 2. The data mismatch, what Gen Z brings to the table. While the conversation remains stuck on what Gen Z supposedly lacks, it's completely missing the revolutionary skill set they bring to the table. The very metrics used to label them unemployable are so outdated that they fail to measure the most valuable assets for the future of work. Let's start with technology. Gen Z is not just digital natives, they are AI natives. A 2025 report from the World Economic Forum found that over half, 55% of Gen Z already use AI to problem solve at work. This is the highest of any generation and represents a massive leap in adoption, far outpacing Gen X at 52% and baby boomers at 46%. When they expect a hiring process to be fast, mobile first, and seamless, it isn't impatience. It's a reflection of the high-efficiency world they are built to operate in. Clunky, slow, analog processes don't just frustrate them. They signal that the company itself is obsolete and unprepared for the future. This digital fluency is paired with an unprecedented capacity for rapid, continuous learning. Data from Deloitte's 2025 survey shows that 70% of Gen Z are actively developing new skills to advance their careers every week. In a volatile global market where entire skill sets can become obsolete in years, this constant drive for upskilling isn't just a desirable trait, it's the single most important indicator of long-term value. Yet traditional hiring practices systematically fail to measure this. They prioritize years of experience, creating a catch-22 where new graduates can't get experience without first having it. This focus on the past, on static credentials, completely misses a candidate's potential for future growth. It's why forward-thinking companies like Google and IBM are dropping degree requirements for many roles, shifting their focus from credentials to capabilities, and recognizing that practical, demonstrable skills are more valuable than a diploma. Even the criticism about lacking soft skills is a fundamental misreading of the data. Their preference for digital communication isn't a weakness. It's a specialized strength perfectly suited for the hybrid and remote workforces that are now a permanent fixture of the global economy. They are fluent in the languages of Slack, Teams, and asynchronous collaboration, the very skills companies are now desperate to cultivate. The problem isn't a skills gap on the part of Gen Z, it's an evaluation gap on the part of employers. They are using an outdated rubric to grade the workforce of the future, and in doing so, they are overlooking a crucial business metric disguised as a generational quirk. When a Gen Z candidate asks pointed questions about a company's diversity initiatives or its environmental impact, they are not being difficult. They are providing the employer with a clear data point on what it will take to retain them, as purpose is a key driver of their loyalty. In fact, 83% of Gen Z candidates say a company's commitment to diversity and inclusion is a crucial factor when choosing an employer. Dismissing these questions is like a doctor ignoring a patient's vital signs. 3. The solution: mastering employability fluency. So how do we bridge this chasm? The solution isn't for one side to capitulate to the other. It's about developing a new shared language. We call it employability fluency. This is the skill of translating generational values into the language of business outcomes, a bridge of communication that allows both sides to recognize the shared goals hidden beneath different vocabularies. For Gen Z, this is a powerful tool for self-advocacy. It's not about abandoning your values, it's about framing them in a way that demonstrates your strategic value to an organization. Instead of saying, "I need a good work-life balance," try framing it through the lens of business results. "I'm committed to maintaining a sustainable pace of high performance. I find that by protecting my time to recharge, I can bring more focus, creativity, and energy to my work, which prevents burnout and ensures I can contribute consistently over the long term." Instead of saying, "I want to work for a company with a purpose," translate that into a retention argument. "I am most motivated when I can see a clear link between my daily tasks and the company's overarching mission. For me, that sense of purpose is the key driver of long-term engagement and loyalty." Furthermore, transcend the limits of a traditional resume. Build a digital portfolio that shows your skills in action, case studies, project outcomes, even video testimonials. This allows you to prove your capabilities directly, making the arbitrary metric of years of experience irrelevant by providing tangible proof of your abilities. For employers, fluency means learning to listen differently and modernizing your approach. It's time to shift from experience-based hiring to potential-based hiring. Instead of asking what a candidate has done, start asking how they learn. Assess for learning agility, their ability to adapt, unlearn, and solve problems in novel situations. And critically, adapt your leadership style. The old top-down command and control model is a relic. Research shows Gen Z thrives under leaders who act as coaches and mentors, who practice transformational and servant leadership styles, and who build environments of psychological safety where it's okay to ask questions and contribute ideas. This means providing regular, constructive feedback, being transparent about the why behind decisions, and clearly outlining how an employee's role contributes to the bigger picture. This isn't coddling. It's smart management that fosters trust and unlocks the immense potential of this generation. Ultimately, employability fluency is a strategy for mutual de-risking. For young professionals, it ensures you land in a culture where you can actually thrive. For companies, it helps you identify and retain the highly motivated, deeply engaged, and future-ready talent you need to survive and innovate. Conclusion. The narrative that Gen Z is unemployable is a myth. It's a story born from the friction of a world in transition, where old structures are colliding with new values. The evidence is clear. This isn't a generation of slackers. This is a generation of catalysts. They are not the problem to be solved. They are the solution that the world of work has been waiting for. Their demands for flexibility, purpose, and mental well-being are not signs of fragility. They are the blueprints for a more sustainable, more productive, and more human-centric future of work. They are forcing the system to evolve, and that is a strength, not a weakness. The only question is whether employers are willing to listen and adapt. What's the biggest misunderstanding you've faced at work? Share your story in the comments below. Let's learn from each other. And for more deep dives into the future of work and the tools you need to thrive in it, make sure to subscribe to GENSHIFT.